Hello! In this video, I am going to suggest we come up with, we identify the socialist approach to thinking. We identify it and then we give it a name because I believe it is flawed. And if their approach to thinking is flawed, so will everything they think be. So, that's the point of this video. What do I mean by approach to thinking? If you went up to an historian and you said, I think Richard III is bad because I've read this book by William Shakespeare and he says he's terrible. The historian would tell you, he would say, no, your approach to thinking is not that of an historian, because historians always look for primary sources, and Shakespeare wasn't there. If you went up to a scientist and said, I've done all these tests and I've got all this fabulous data and I'm trying to look at it and understand it, the scientist would say, oh, no, young man, young woman. He would say, with science, we have the idea beforehand and then we see if the test reinforces our hypothesis. Because if you look at a load of data, you can see any pattern you like after the event. So, and that young man or woman is the scientific method. It's the same for Christians, not quite so definite, but they have Jesus and they have those quotes and have the Bible. Buddhists have their pillars of wisdom. And so you can predict how disciplines and ideologies think because they all have very clearly defined approaches to thinking. Not socialism. Socialism's not my airy-fairy, it's all about conclusions. No, this is how we think as a socialist. Let's identify that now, shall we? Before I do, remember the last video I did? I said, here's the socialist lesson plan, where they say, this is what being a socialist means. And we said it's all about being arrogant and putting people down. I'm going to suggest a little bit of scientific method here, that when we look at a load of socialist ideas, which we're about to do very, very quickly, we will see that pattern. So this is a bit like science, isn't it? That's a hypothesis. Let's look at their policies and see if they all echo the socialist lesson plan as taught to all our 15-year-olds. Let's begin. Really potted version. Oh, equality. Well, we all want to help the poor. So that's the topic, helping the poor. All equality does, socialism does, is inject hating the rich. So, bit of vanity, help the poor, hate the rich, massive. Let's look at crime. We all want no crime. Nobody wants crime. Socialist approach is, I'm so compassionate, I care for the criminal. The socialist approach is also, not like those Tories, heartless monsters. So we're getting the injection of always a target, I suggest. That's what we're seeing so far. Women, well, I'm English. I want to live in a world where everyone's got the best opportunity. Not socialism. Hating men's bolted on. So again, I think we're deducing a pattern here. Economics, well, that's the history of the last century. Hating the rich. And we know how that went. A lot of people died. Economics. Oh, I've just did economics, you fool. Social justice. Well, we all want justice. They're just saying we hate the 1,000 years of accumulated justice that we arrived at before socialists turned up in the world. And that really underlines the arrogance. A little bit of a tangent. Because if you're 25 and you're doing social justice, it means you're such a big head that you're just assuming everything that went before you, and now you're here, you know the answers. Pure arrogance. Marketing. Every day I walk past a rainbow flag motif, socialist flag, and in the middle it says, proud to serve everyone. So they're saying two things. We want to sell you stuff, that's the problem. We're proud to serve everyone. They're literally saying that other people aren't. They're calling the rest of the bloody world, I swore, They call it the rest of the world racist. So then, and that's all marketing now, because all marketing's a socialist rumps. That's the next video, rumps. Oh, immigration. Nothing makes England less English than immigration, because we all want a sensible immigration. That's the topic. Nothing makes the world less English than mass immigration. And if you hate the English, you love mass immigration. And it gives you a pretext to dehumanise the English as a big bunch of old racists. And I think if you're watching this, you may have noticed they do that a lot. So, that's a very quick view of socialism. And I think we are seeing that taught lesson plan. You're wonderful if you're a socialist, but everyone else is horrible. I think we're seeing it. We've got 25% in just putting figures out the air, vanity. The word virtue signalling doesn't exist by accident. And 100% hate. It's always going to be somebody. There's no thought in socialism that doesn't involve a target. So there you go. I suggest that's the socialist thought habit. I actually think it's a better thing to call it the arrogance thought habit. More of that later. Why is this helpful? Well, if you've got the time, you can just explain that. Show them this video. But, you have to be married to somebody to do that. Not too convenient. If you look at the whole shebang of conservative and socialist politics, it's all just one hoo-ha of this, isn't it? I'm going to suggest the reason is we have, if there are 50 flawed socialist ideas, we have 50 different answers. 50 different answers, all of which are ignored because it's all a mishmash. But if we have one answer to 50 different socialist arguments, that's going to sink in by repetition. I think one answer to 50 different errors is much better than 50 different answers to 50 different errors. It gets quite fun, this next suggestion. You can always say to a socialist, well, now rethink your idea, but don't hate anyone. Now, I've not done this. I'm going to imagine, yeah, but they are bad. Men are. Men used to do this, wage gap. Or, the rich are terrible. Why should they? And then you can go, well, I don't hate those people you hate. But you can also say, did you know that the crown on bigotry is trying to justify it? That isn't my point, by the way. I just think that's fun. Throw it in there if you find yourself in that situation. You start to show them their prejudices. It removes their moral high ground. And I'm going to suggest that if the message lands, every time they go away and they think about their ideas, they are going to start second guessing their thoughts. Like, can I have that thought without hating somebody? Maybe I'm a bit hatey. Maybe my friends call me Mrs. Hatey because I'm a socialist. Which is actually kind of true, actually. And I love my friends and I want to help them. I don't want to damn them, which actually that is socialism, isn't it? We want to help people, including socialists. They just want to damn everybody, which is a huge repertoire of language like fascist and sexist and racist. It's all dehumanising, not improving. Oh, that's a throwback to the Christian thought habit, isn't it? So I think it's useful in those ways. I particularly like the one answer to 50 different problems. So, conclusions. When we identify with a discipline or an ideology, we are taught ways of thinking about the world. It helps if we name them, and if they're wrong, it definitely how we fix them, because when you name a problem, you can fix it. I think we should go out into the world and start saying, start talking about the socialist, no, not socialist, I've always called it the socialist thought habit. Call it the arrogant thought habit. So this is for me as well, I keep getting it, the arrogant thought habit. Because you call it the socialist thought habit, which I always do. The socialists obviously just go, zing. If you call it the arrogant thought habit, one, it's true, And 2, nobody wants to be arrogant. So, next video, well, when you've got a big bunch of arrogant people, not because they're bad, because they're taught it, it's industrialised on the curriculum, as I said last video. When you have a load of them in an organisation, what do? And they form things like rumps. If you think back to the rump parliament, and that is what's wrong with our world today. But it's also, by naming that problem and identifying it, that's also how we fix it. So on that lovely note, let's go bye-bye.